guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an entertaining article titled, "My partner says he won't marry me until I lose weight and get a job. Where do I go from here?" And guys, this article is written by a gal, or more like a write-in editorial type of thing. She's writing into the so-called expert, complaining that her guy, she's been with him for a number of years. She's in her mid to late 20s, so is he. They have a 4-year-old daughter. And essentially he's saying, look, unless you start getting your life together, I'm not going to marry you. And she's looking in essentially for pity. And this is exactly what she gets from the female so-called expert here. And you're going to see here, guys, her things that she's complaining about that he wants her to get together are losing weight, getting a job to help pay the bills, God forbid, and getting a driver's license. All things that an adult obviously needs to have, especially if you live in the city. That's one thing because of the driving thing. But anywhere else, no. You have a little kid, you need a license. And if you're overweight, you need to lose some weight. And also, how about get a job because I, the man, can't do it all myself, or I shouldn't have to do it all myself. Well, no. He's the bad guy here. And normally, when someone would write into something like this, a person would try to help them out saying, well, you know what? As a mother of a child is 4 years old, you need to help out your husband with getting a job, a license. No, that's not what we get. It's ridiculous. And he is made out to be the bad guy here in the situation, and it's ridiculous. And also, what's funny is, darn well that if a man wrote in about the same thing saying my girlfriend won't marry me unless I get a job, get a license, all those things, darn well she'd be telling him to get off his butt and do all those things. But if a woman writes in, it's ridiculous. But anyhow, I'm going to go over this here and poke a lot of holes in this ridiculous thing here. Starts off, says here, "Dear Julia." I don't know who the hell Julia is, but Julia, I guess, is some expert. "Dear Julia, my partner and I are in our mid to late 20s. We have a 4-year-old daughter, and my partner has a good job. I stay at home with our little girl to take her to school because he's on a rotating roster where no week is the same ever. We've been together for 6 years now and have talked about getting engaged more recently. He has told me he has some prerequisites before he even considers getting engaged. He wants me to work full-time, to start getting my driver's license, and to get fit. She says in parentheses, I'm not overweight by any means. I actually am the opposite and would consider myself skinny." Well, I'm going to stop there and say this. Given our world right now, at least here in the West, and especially the United States, where at least half the population is either overweight or obese, and for all you Americans out there, you've been out and about, you know what I'm talking about. I've met people that definitely were not thin, not skinny, but in their mind, they thought they were. Seriously. Because they compared themselves to the masses, no pun intended, and they think, well, compared to them, I'm skinny. Well, no, you're not. And obviously, he's not attracted her this way. The job. Why should all be all on him? The kid's 4 years old now. The kid can now start going to school, like preschool and all that. Why does he have to be fully responsible for everything? It's not an unreasonable request to have her now work to help take care of things. How about that? And driver's license, don't get me started. Get off your ass and learn to get your license, because you may need to take that kid to the emergency room or something if something happens to that kid, because you never know. But he's the bad guy for requesting these things. Since this conversation happened, I haven't felt happy at all. We've always been quite good together, other than a few tiffs here and there. You mean he's never actually asked you to behave like an adult and have responsibilities, but now because he is, now you're quite unhappy about that? I've looked for work, but because I've been out of action for so long, nobody wants me. My partner's work schedule doesn't help, nor does school times. I also have a massive fear of being in a car. I'm receiving professional help for this fear, but for now, I walk everywhere and he drives if we need it. Well, okay. Now, at least she claims she's getting professional help for her fear of driving. Never heard that one, but okay. But you conquer that fear and you get over it because you may need to take that kid somewhere. And if he's working full time, okay, he also, when he's done working full time from that job, he shouldn't have to then go to the grocery store all the time, go be the one driving all about. He needs some help with income. He needs help with going to regular chores and activities that people need a license to drive a car to get around from. These are not unreasonable requests. But on the other hand, if I'm this guy, I'm thinking, I don't want to have this person, this gal with me, who is incapable of all these things. She's totally relying on me all this crap. Not happening. So I would be more like, look, if you're not going to get your shit together, we're done. And by the way, what would happen? What would happen if a guy wasn't doing these things? If she was working full time, had to drive his ass everywhere and paid for everything. How well would that go? Not very well. And this writer would obviously tell him to get off his ass and do something about it. But not here. Marriage is a big thing for me since I consider it to be the best way to show commitment and love. I feel so lost because my partner wants all these things. I just don't know. Where do I go from here? And the so-called expert says, Dear Australia, obviously she's from Australia, I'm sorry that you're feeling confused about how to move forward in your relationship. To me, it seems you view marriage as an extension of the love you have for your partner. Now that he's putting conditions on that love, it feels, well, conditional. But that doesn't necessarily mean you should bend to his requests, or that doing so will get you the marriage that you want. Bending to his request? Always asking her to get a freaking job to help out with the bills because he obviously can't take care of everything and he shouldn't. Or how about a license like a freaking adult, take the kid around. And yes, lose some weight because obviously I've lost attraction for you since obviously you put on weight. Bending to the will. In fact, getting into any relationship where there are conditions at play is generally a bad idea. Therapist Susan Winter told me. Newsflash, there's always conditions. And it's okay for the gals to have conditions for us, right? But God forbid a man actually has some conditions or standards, then he's one big giant meanie. It says here, if you're getting into a relationship where you're being dictated to do certain things that aren't you, or you don't actually believe it necessary, then you have to wonder what else it will indicate in the relationship over time. Winter said, these demands can also lead to resentment. Okay, let's just say that she breaks up with this guy over this thing. So she has no job, no income, can't drive, she's not skinny or thin. What is she going to do then? How is she going to take care of herself? She's going to have to obviously get off her butt, and she's going to have to get the skills or get a job. She's going to have to obviously, if she wants a guy, lose some weight to attract a guy, to be able to get the things she needs, get a license. So whether she's with this dude or not, she's going to have to do these things anyway. But obviously she doesn't like being told what's what. And again, nowadays, if a man has any standards, well, again, he's a big giant meanie. And you can pick up on my sarcasm making fun of that word. For now, you should take your partner's conditions as a sign it's time to evaluate your personal values and needs and consider whether marriage is the best next step for your relationship. Understand your values and dreams and share them with your partner. What are her values and dreams? I want to sit on the couch all day and watch daytime TV. I want to watch Netflix while you work and I don't have to drive anywhere. I mean, come on here. According to Winter, partners should share their values and life dreams with each other as soon as they can. This way, they can understand their compatibility and decide if something that could work for them long term. Well, this guy, obviously, I like to know the dynamics here. Did they plan on having that kid, or did that kid just, she got pregnant and then he stayed with her? I don't know. But yeah, he should have made it clear in the beginning that, I actually want my woman, future wife, to work. So I don't have to be responsible for everything, or have a license, or act like an adult, and not be fat. To tap into your needs or goals, Winter suggests a meeting with a therapist if you can. You can discuss your values like marriage and how you want to raise your daughter and pinpoint personal milestones you want to reach, like traveling to a place you've always wanted to go or working a job you've admired. This self-discovery period will help you pinpoint areas where you're willing to compromise in your relationship and areas where you're not willing to budge. Again, I didn't realize that not getting a job and having a license and not being overweight is something that one has to compromise and standards that you're not willing to budge. Perhaps you'll want to get over your fear of driving because of the independence it could afford you. Or maybe you just don't see the point in driving and don't think overcoming that fear is worth your life when you could walk. Again, unless you're in the city and you can walk to the local stores and all that stuff, you got a problem. You need to drive. Yes, I know you can Uber and Lyft, but that starts to get costly. No matter what you decide you need, it is important it comes from yourself and not your partner, said Winter. It says here, a shared child could complicate your decision. I'm sure this has already weighed on you, but you should also consider how your child factors into your decision. This means you may have to compromise with your partner in areas you wouldn't otherwise, according to Winter. Though it can be difficult, asking yourself how you'd handle certain child-related outcomes can provide clarity. Yeah, anyway, let's just say they're split up. And now he has the child part of the time, and she has the child part of the time. Again, she's going to need some money. Now, obviously, she'll get money from him for child support, but she'll still need more than that. She's going to have to get a job. And again, a license to drive a vehicle to get that child to appointments, to the doctor, to the dentist, emergencies. So all these things he says he wants her to do, if they break up, she's going to have to do them anyway. But what the real issue is, she doesn't like him having terms. And again, God forbid a guy has terms, standards, certain deal breakers, then we're the bad guy. But if a gal has terms and standards, you all know this, then she's empowered, being strong, and knows her worth. Some people may not like what I say, more like people that stumble upon this video and this channel, but I'm just calling BS where it's out there. Guys have standards, we're jerks. Women have standards and demand things, they're heroes. It's ridiculous. It's okay for them to have certain standards, and I can understand some, but so can we. It says here, you won't know what to do overnight, and that's okay. Oh, I missed one. It says here, Winter suggests you imagine a different relationship and parenting scenarios, like being married after you meet your husband's conditions, or ending the relationship and co-parenting with your daughter. Think of how they'd affect your daughter's childhood and your life, and you feel each scenario sits for you. You won't know what to do overnight, and that's okay. Like you said, marriage is a commitment. It and the life you want to build within it deserve the same attentiveness. So take your time in considering all the options, while remembering the condition-free commitment you seek out is there. Condition-free commitment? Okay, good luck. Well, okay, if she wants to have a condition-free commitment from a guy, in other words, a guy will let her do whatever she wants, the only type of guy is going to allow her to do that that's going to have the resources that she wouldn't have to work, and obviously could pay for her getting Ubers all the time, whatever, is a guy that obviously has some value, has some money and standards, and he isn't going to want an overweight chick, so she's going to have to lose the weight anyway, right? Or simply another guy, she's going to have to get a license anyway and get a job. So at the end of the day, this is all pointless. It's ridiculous. So I'm doing this whole thing, guys, just to make fun of and point out the obvious that, like I said before, man has standards, we're jerks. They have standards and want things, and the big empowered heroes knowing their worth. So it's ridiculous, but I like to point these things out when I see these things on occasion. This was actually sent to me by a subscriber, and I appreciate you sending it over. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me just think about this. Let me know, guys, about this situation. Is he being unreasonable for requesting that she get a license, a job, and lose some of that weight? Or is he being a big jerk? And how dare he? I'd like to hear. I'm sure somebody will say that he's being a jerk. Probably somebody just stumbles upon the channel, or somebody just wants to, rattle the cage. Okay, go for it. And also, guys, if you come across a good article you'd like to share, by all means, email me the article or a good story. And if you have a personal story you'd like to share, you'd like me to cover one day, email me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just make it easy for me to read, and I'll definitely cover it down the road. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.